fuck all this technology. It fucking sucks. And I'm audible, but my camera's not there. Whatever. I'm gonna get you up there in just a second, I promise. Yeah, I know, right? You could talk to people. It's great. Everyone can hear you. Everyone can hear me.
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you just fine. I just can't see either of us.
Ah, okay.
All right.
I don't know if you want to see me right now. I probably look like I've been showering decently now that I have a shower. I spent my first week of quarantine without a bathroom or a shower.
Oh,
It was fun.
Why's that?
We were doing renovations in our bathroom in Boston, and that quarantine started, and so I didn't have a shower. I had a porta potty in my parking spot.
Oh, that's fucking terrible.
It was fun.
It
was a lot of fun. At the bright side, I was being extra diligent about sanitizing everything because I had a porta potty. And, so I was already being very diligent about cleaning things.
Okay, excellent. You can continue to tell the audience about that experience.
This is the introduction of me about how I spent my first week of quarantine pooping in the parking lot.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That fucking sucks.
It was fun. I'm good now.
Make everything even worse.
Holding it together. Yeah, it just felt like, I feel like I should have been more pissed about it at the moment. And I was pissed on a few reasons at the contractors. Mostly, I think I was just like, this is just so absurd. I was just like, this is funny.
Your life sucks.
It was just like there was like nothing, like I couldn't dwell on it or else it just would kill me. So I was just like, I'm just gonna be like, yeah. And I feel like, I got to like walk out and be like, see my neighbor walking his dog at midnight, and I was like, hey, just going for a poop.
All right, so now this is fantastic. And by the way, if I sound weird at any point, I have like a 2-second delay on my mic in my headphones, so every now and then I talk like this. It's very weird. But anyways, guys, this is Tom, who I've known since he was knee-high to a grasshopper.
I was like 6 feet tall at 13 or 14 probably when you met me. And I was probably still 6 feet tall.
Yeah, you were 6 feet. I don't know. I was thinking about it the other night because I've been on a big spring heel jack kick. Were they your first show? What was your first show?
No, it was. The first like real show I went to was a 600 Par show because one of my best friends, his older brother, was in the band, and so.
Okay.
We went to that, but I think seeing 600 Par, I saw Spring Heel Jack at the Webster was one of the first like cool big shows, and then I saw some tune-in show after that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Spring Heel Jack was like that was probably 8th grade for me.
Oh my god. You were young. Probably. That's right. You were the same age as B, who was also in middle school, which was fucking wild. Yeah, so I know Tom from Camden, Connecticut. I almost made the Push to Release Wants to Play joke on my wall, but nobody would have gotten except for us. But that's
oh man.
Yeah.
I was what can I say? I was diligent in trying to get that band booked. All right?
You know what? Basically, I'm like that with my radio show, and I swear to God, I'm a fucking broken record. Like. Every time I see a band or see somebody or go somewhere, it's like, hey, I have this radio show. Did I tell you about my radio show? Let me tell you about my radio show. To the point where I want to make up stickers that say, hey, I'm Steph. Did I tell you I have a radio show? It's on WCRS at 11 o'clock on Monday. And, that's going to be my sticker.
Honestly, it's really better. You're probably better off like that because I as I get older, I've become, more and more terrible at self-promotion, and I'm really ashamed. I'm starting to get more into it. I'm trying to be more aware of it so I can get better at it. I just like, and then part of that is the internet and the way the algorithms change things. And you're like, I posted this on Instagram, therefore everyone must have seen it, right? And you're like,
And they
nope,
don't.
Instagram buried it, like they always do.
Yeah.
And whereas I'm assuming that it got buried because because everyone hates me.
Yeah.
And like, it's my
That's my thing,
anxiety
too. I
reading
have
it.
no
No, it's more
self-esteem.
like. Right, but no, actually, it's just the luck of the algorithms, and it's trying to. It's crazy figuring that out, and it is weird. Like certain things I do will get like a lot of promotion, and some things just like disappear, and it's really hard figuring out like which things I should push and which things I shouldn't push. So I don't want to be obnoxious in posting. I mean, I write. I publish like 2 to 5 articles a day.
Damn.
Like short blogs, and I do like probably like like 1 to 2 like longer articles a week, and I probably am recording like a demo a week, and probably like I'm diligent, but I'm just like never sure which of those things I should like be sharing. And they're also like it's not always the most exciting stuff. Sometimes it's very in progress.
Yeah.
And also you're like, do you want to hear this demo version of the song I did?
Or do you want to hear the
like
real
wait
song?
a year to hear like the full version when it comes out?
Yeah. No, I get that too.
I'm less excited about it because I've been sitting on it and listening to it forever. And I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. That's kind of me too. It's also like, do people actually care about me? But also, if I don't tell people about me, they're never going to know. Right. So here we are.
It's definitely weird. And there are times that like I feel like I have told people things about me, but then even if you tell people something once, it doesn't stick in them. Mm-hmm. And that's like a general like. I mean, my wife runs a professional theater company, right? And when she deals with donors a lot, it's like she kind of talks about like 7 points of contact with dealing with donors.
Yeah.
And how like the first time you talk to them is meaningless. The third time is when they start to hear things, even when they're like people who have money that they want to give.
Yeah.
It takes at least 3 times till they actually till anything resonates, and you still have to follow up 4 more times after that. And God. I forget that. Like I know that. But
7 points of contact.
I know that's how humans tend to work. Yeah. And like that's how human beings tend to work. And if you ask me, if you told me a thing one time, I probably forgot the first time.
Yeah.
By time 3, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I know that now. By time 5, I'll probably do something about it.
Yeah.
But in this case, 7 points of contact when it comes to like giving money. I'm poor, so like I'm not gonna give that much money. But like if you tell me 3 times about your band, I'm gonna listen to your band finally.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a
listen
small
on time,
dog
but
that's
I'm gonna
barking
forget.
here. Hang on a second.
I have that effect, yeah.
So is that whiskey?
Yeah, I just did a very important supply run for some packing tape and disinfectant and rock. Yeah. All the essentials.
Yeah. So who do you write for? You write for a bunch of different people that are like.
So yeah. So I used to be a staff writer at Upworthy, and I still write stuff for them. I've written for Weather.com, Huffington Post, Vice, but I'm currently on staff at the Wirecutter, which is part of the New York Times family. Nothing I say is representative of the New York Times family,
yeah, right.
to be clear, but I basically write about HVAC home equipment for the New York Times. I write about like air conditioners and humidifiers.
That is fucking
I also
weird.
It's a weird thing I fall into in my life, and I also write. I also blog regularly for on boingboing.net. So
on what?
Well-known tech blog.
Oh. Okay.
Tech Boing Boing.
Okay.
It's like a tech blog and like counterculture. Cory Doctorow was one of the founders of it, and a lot of like Electronic Frontier Foundation dudes. A lot of dudes who the founders were all like original like '90s cyberpunk people.
Whoa.
I'd say.
I'm
the young whippersnapper, I guess.
You are. Yeah, so basically I wanted to have you on. We're talking about all kinds of stuff, which is great because you're funny, and we haven't actually talked in God knows how long.
I haven't seen you yet. It's been a few years. I think I was seeing you like on a fairly consistent basis at shows.
Well, yeah, because you were in Boston.
It's been a while.
I was in Boston a lot. We saw each other at a fucking not Against Me, but Laura Jane Grace and the Devouring Mothers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When I had
That was like 4 years ago.
yeah, it was.
That was
But
also a
also
brilliant. That also was a. That was a brilliant. That night, That was like one of the best like theater performances I've seen in a long time.
yeah,
That night, probably my life.
yeah,
'Cause it felt this the way she was doing it, like reading from her diaries and playing songs throughout her entire career, and like kind of peeling back layers of subtext around songs,
yeah. That was
especially
cool.
dealing with her transition. Yeah, I felt that it was very theatrical, like storytelling wise, and it was a really cool thing. It was like, me, I'm seeing you play songs. I love your songs, but hearing you like, oh yeah, here's the context of the song, which has like no other obvious like what would be now be assumed as like trans subtext, but like hearing her be like, here's this like where my head was at, and obviously like, that's who she is. It's part of her identity, so
Yeah,
obviously that plays into her life, and it was just really cool hearing her be like, here's when I was like dealing with this. It came out in this song in a way that might not be obvious,
yeah,
and that was really cool.
yeah. That was super cool. That was the show when I had the hangover from hell from the previous night, and yeah, I felt miserable, but I'm really glad I went. And like
Yeah,
it was
that definitely
bad.
happened.
It was really bad. I don't think I've. All right, no. So I've drank since then, but I don't drink because of that night, and also because of
Wow. All right.
like no, also because like I'm on way too many psych meds these days. So
Yeah.
it's a it's I'm a
That,
lightweight.
that and that's a fair thing. Like that makes a lot of sense. Like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
responsible decision.
Responsible. But yeah.
I mean, I actually feel, like when I was 25, it felt a lot funnier to joke about like, hey, cool guys, like I'm on a decent Adderall script, and I like Adderall and whiskey is kind of my uppers and downers. Is how I survive life. It's how I stay stable, and
Mhm.
and now like I still am on Adderall. I still drink whiskey, but like I'm definitely more responsible about both things. But it is a weird thing where I'm like, oh, like, and now I recognize like it's actually not that funny for me to like make that joke, even like in ways like it does. In the ways it would work, it still is like a weird chemical imbalance thing, and I recognize there are people who are less fortunate who like cannot deal with whose like medicines really mess with them. And for me, honestly, the worst side effect of when I mix psych drugs and alcohol is when I'm not on the psych drugs. I forget like I feel like my tolerance is incredibly high when I'm drinking because I'm on my Adderall, and then when I'm not on my Adderall, my body's like, hey, you don't have a massive amphetamine rushing through your blood right now, dude. This downer is gonna mess you up. I'm like, oh yeah, wow, that one beer hit me really hard today. That's really weird. And I forget, I'm like, oh, this is how chemicals work. Like, this makes sense. But
Yeah. Excellent chemically balanced. So yeah,
woohoo.
yeah. So I guess I want to talk about like bad generalism versus not bad generalism. This is the serious portion of the stream. We could talk about the other shit,
Great.
but there's so. I mean, granted, Facebook is blocking a lot of shit, which also. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I feel like you shouldn't censor stuff, but also, if Karen's trying to prevent coronavirus with essential oils, that's not so good. So it's a fine line.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole probably sideline a lot of discussion, but like um, there's like a whole discussion we have about like deplatforming on things. Like, there's and you can support the First Amendment and free speech without being like, hey, everyone deserves to use your platform to spew lies and or hatred. And it's messy because it's definitely a slippery slope. I hate using slippery slope because it is by definition a logical fallacy. It's not a good argument to make about anything.
Yeah.
But it is also a real thing. And fortunately, I've seen weird things. I posted a demo on me playing a song acoustic on Instagram, and it got blocked. And like the next day, it was fine.
Yeah.
They've been, especially lately, they've been trying to like change their algorithm, and a lot of that stuff is just total chaos. And it's weird. When I joined Upworthy after they kind of exploded. They kind of brought me on because I was making fun of them. I got their job there because I was making fun of them online for doing for their corny headlines. Because I was like, I like what you stand for, but I hate this stuff. And they kind of brought me on to make it less lame, which is really cool. But it was interesting while I was there seeing how the algorithms work on the websites, and then even now seeing how easily people exploit that for bad faith. And the problem is also, and it's frustrating, is when people are exploiting things with bad faith and they pretend they're acting in good faith because they're trolling you. And you're like, okay, we can have good faith discussions about whether we should be censoring this in Facebook, but in the end, you're like a neo-Nazi troll and you're spreading hate and fake things on Facebook, and that's all you're trying to do is for power and the lulz. And clearly, we could discuss this, but in the end, the argument doesn't matter because you're doing it for bad reasons, and you know that, and you're going to pretend otherwise. And I know it. And I know that, you know that, so, like, screw off.
Yeah. No, I think my biggest thing, like, first of all, we all know I have anxiety. I'm not on any anti-anxiety medication anymore whatsoever, so I'm basically raw dogging life right now. Which is, I hate that phrase, but it's really true. And granted, I think I feel better about this whole quarantine thing because I understand how germs work. I understand, like, how you get sick and how you don't. And also because I've isolated myself in my house for months at a time. So it's like, oh, I guess I'm going to do that. Meanwhile, all my friends who are, like, normal, not depressed people are like, fuck, we can't go out. This is awful. Existential dread. Worrying about getting sick and dying. And I'm just like, that's normal. Which is really fucked up.
I'm weird in between that because I've been working on the internet, solely on the internet for like 5 years now. But I'm also a very social person. I need interaction, so I'm used to working from home. It's all I ever do. Mm-hmm. But I'm also used to, like, I'm on my laptop all day and I can be like, cool, I'm going to go to the pub now and I'm going to get some social interaction because I need to. And now I'm like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah. Like,
and I also, like, me. I think, like, ADHD is a different kind of mental, like psychiatric or psychological issue, but, like, I am aware of, both hyper aware of some things. I'm also, like, know how to cope with the anxiety parts that come along with that.
Right.
Where even, like, at the house today, my wife was a lot more concerned about me, and I was like, I got my gloves on, I got my mask, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Yeah. And, like...
Because I'm not going to touch anybody, and it's going to be okay.
Don't breathe in anyone's sneezes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the whiskey. I'm gonna get the self checkout. I'm gonna use Apple Pay on my phone, and I'm not gonna touch anyone or anything but this whiskey, and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. But yeah, people that don't understand shit are flipping out, and I think journalism plays into that. It's super easy for people to see something like, renowned doctor says we might quarantine for 6 months, and they take that and they run with it, and that helps nobody.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing about that is some issues about how, like, the faith we put in expertise, which is both important and to take things with a grain of salt. And, like, there's a lot of different doctors and who have, like, a lot of different opinions, and that's important to know. Also, like, there's just not a lot of information available all the time. And there's a big difference, especially now when we have a douchebag for president who, like, calls things news when he just doesn't like them all the time. And there's a difference, there's a very big difference between, like, someone who's lying to you and someone who is misinformed and sharing that information. And those are it's really hard to, like, to distinguish those things for some people. And they'll say, like, I mean, I've certainly seen so many comments in people on the internet be like, well, remember when Obama said, like, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor? And, like, I can complain about Obama for a long time, but, like, at the end of the day, I think that he genuinely believed that when they were passing the ACA. I think he genuinely believed, like, yeah, this should be fine. The insurance companies are the ones who backed out and screwed you over your doctor if you lost your doctor in that.
Yeah.
But the intention of the system was that you could keep your doctor.
Right.
And I think that remains true.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, there are so many things that, like, come out of this administration that are just blatant lies. And that's a very different thing when it's, like, are knowingly telling something. And part of that, with politics in particular, is that, like, I think there's a certain duty of a lot of politicians, for better and for worse, to sugarcoat some things and to kind of comfort the masses. That's a job of leadership, largely, in any organization. And I think that's it's frustrating, I think, in politics, because sometimes, like, I mean, it's like when your parents lie to you when you're a kid, and sometimes it's like well-intentioned lies to you. And they're like, no, we have to say this to you because we mean well. And I think there are times that politicians do that. And it's for better or for worse. Like, it could go either way.
Yeah.
But it happens sometimes, for sure. But it's tough when people are just blatantly lying and spreading lies. Yeah. And that's really hard to do.
Yeah. And I don't think journalists who write things like "we're quarantining for 6 years" or whatever, I don't think they're blatantly trying to scare people, but also, like, big headlines like that, people gravitate to. They're a big thing. Nobody's said it before. And it's also, like, am I right in saying that journalists want the big story, and they want the reblogs, and they want the views to a degree?
Yes and no. I think the trick, I think as a journalist, I think you're torn between, like, two different directions that are pulling you. Like, you have instinct for telling the truth and communicating that truth to other people, and you have a talent, hopefully, for taking in lots of information very quickly and distilling it and synthesizing it in a way that is digestible for other people. That is your job, essentially. Is to take in all this stuff in the world, all this ambient information, and distill it in a way that's useful for people and understandable. And there's a difficult part of the job is also figuring out how to distill that information down in useful, especially because, like, nuance is important, and there's a weird balance where inherently in journalism you don't have a lot of room for nuance, because that's how, like, people aren't going to read a very if people wanted nuance, they'd read the entire 500-page bill that fast, you know. That's all the nuance, I guess. But the journalist has to, like, distill that down and make decisions about what is useful information. At the same time, when something does take off, there's certainly, like, there's an excitement. There's that, like, that reward whenever someone likes anything you do, you get excited about it, and it feeds that. And I think especially, you know, like, we live under capitalism for better and for worse, and media systems are based on, like, have an incentive to get people to click on things, and that doesn't always lead down to directly to the writers. There are some editors, some companies that will try to censor their writers from that, but at the end of the day, companies need to make money, and they'll try to. Companies, it's more companies than the individual journalists want to incentivize you to get stuff that people will click on, and there's also, like, this. That's one big problem, is, like, how, like, people are only paying attention to these things, and then you see, great, well, we need to make, you know, if you're making money on advertising revenue, you're seeing, like, great, well, this is what everyone's clicking on. Even if you're a journalist, you're trying to write honest stuff, you still like need to consider, like, all right, well, if I write about this thing, no one cares, and I can't keep my job. And it being really, really, and there are some, like, nonprofit journalism outlets that are a lot better about balancing the important things. And when I was at Upworthy, that was a big thing that we were collecting data on, was about, like, how do we write about important issues that people might otherwise not care about and make them care about it. And that was, like, part of the interesting challenge there, using data to figure that out. But even then, there's still an awareness you're approaching with there of, like, great, well, I want you to read about climate change, and how am I going to get you to read about change? And it's inherently manipulative in that way. Even though you don't mean it to be, you don't mean to be bad faith about it, you're trying to convince people. It's persuasive. and that's really tricky. Yeah, and so it's a very scary balance. And like right now, like all anyone wants to read about right now is coronavirus.
Yeah.
I try writing other things, doesn't matter. No one reads it, and that just disappears into the depths of the internet.
Right.
So I could write stuff that no one cares about, and like, why?
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to do. And the other problem is about headlines, and that's a really tricky thing. Is writing headlines is really tricky, and because of like clickbait, because of like traditional news journalism, which was based about like words you notice when you're flipping through a physical paper.
Yeah.
If the words, no grammar, doesn't matter. And all too often, the topics that become big issues spread around less because of the articles and more of the content of the article, and more because of the headline. People see headlines and respond to headlines, and headlines are incredibly difficult to express any nuance in, and often the journalists themselves don't have any choice in what the headline is.
Oh.
A lot of journalists do their own headlines.
Huh.
It ends up being the editor or the marketing department, and that's a really difficult thing to deal with. Like something like because your article might get into some nuance, but the headline is that the headline is a marketing tool at the end of the day, and it's meant to like be catchy and grab your attention, and that ends up kind of being the biggest problem. And it's certainly something that can be used for good. It can be used for good reasons, but it's also easily used for trashy reasons.
Oh. So basically, when I'm mad at these writers, I should be mad at their marketing department and their editors.
I mean, yes. If you're mad at the headline, especially. If you're mad at the article, like look at there are certainly some articles that are worth being mad about. There are certainly op-eds I could complain about that I read that I'm just like, what? Did anyone hold this up to any level of scrutiny whatsoever? Because like anyone has an opinion, opinions are like assholes.
Yeah.
But like there are sometimes I see op-eds in major publications and I'm like, this does not hold up to any kind of logic. You flick one thing and this entire argument crumbles down. But
yeah,
people like having contentious arguments on the internet because it makes people comment and click on things.
Yeah.
So even if someone has an argument that's not logically sound, I might disagree with you, but if your argument is logically sound, cool.
Yeah.
I am certainly a very left-leaning person, but I have like my few, I call them my token libertarian friends, and I enjoy them because they can at least make a sound argument, and I can be like, all right, cool, I can disagree with you, but like that is coherent.
Okay.
And I value that.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about like my own perspective on things, and that's a useful thing to have. But sometimes there are people who just like, I see those opinion pieces and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. I'm thinking now, just extra angry about this today. The Federalist, which is a terrible website in every regard, had an article the other day about why we should have coronavirus infection parties, and the argument. The author was allegedly a doctor, but apparently he's like not.
Not a good one.
Or like not registered in state, has been like disbarred or something.
Remember that we're going to talk about that.
It was not good.
Go on.
Yeah, but essentially he was saying like, well, what we should do is get people who are at low risk for chronic cases of COVID-19, and they should all get together and infect each other, because then they'll be immune, and then we can build herd immunity in that regard. And there were just so many glaring on them. It was literally the baseline of this current condition, that this is a new virus and we do not know very much about it. And there are new things we are learning, and that is very good. We should be learning those things. But none of those new things we learn, are really confirmable yet.
Yeah.
So even the people who are at low risk for the virus. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
At this point, even in this country, we have like a third of our deaths are people under the age of 50.
Yeah.
Despite it being the like old person disease, there's so much that we don't know.
Yeah.
So, and then now today it just came out that like some people in the Wuhan province in China who have already recovered from it have been re-diagnosed with it, and whether they are actually sick with the disease of COVID-19 or just the coronavirus of the novel coronavirus is unclear.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly there's no question about the immunity. How long is the immunity? If it is actually immunity to the disease, how long does it last? We don't know. And the idea of telling people to infect each other to like build up herd immunity is utterly insane.
Yeah, now it is.
Like, it is maddening.
Well, I mean, when we were kids, I don't know how, like, if you got a chickenpox vaccine or not. I didn't. And our parents were like, oh, go hang out with that kid. They have it. Then they'll get it.
That was the argument this person was making, was like, it's like chickenpox. And I was like, yeah, but no.
No, yeah. It's
chickenpox has been around a while. We have like a base understanding of chickenpox that like, hey, if your kid gets it and he's itchy for a while, like it's fine. And it's better in the long run, I guess, if they get it early. But like, no, it was pretty insane.
Yeah.
No.
And so another thing that you brought up was that doctor was like not licensed, and that's the thing. Like, it's a thing I know about doctors, and I know the difference between doctors. And you could say a highly respected physician said this, but if you don't say what kind of physician it is, it could be an epidemiologist or a gynecologist or like you don't know. And if the common person doesn't know the difference, it could mean anything.
I think the general rule of thumb, like, is to just kind of always assume bullshit on everything, I guess, and then till it proves itself right. So like, if you read someone who says something, look up who they are, look up like what their reviews are, and you're like, oh, that's cool. That doctor seems legit. If there's no information that doctor, maybe wait a moment. If you Google that doctor's name and some bad shit shows up, maybe like think about it. I think about this, like I've written a lot about climate change, and there's like, first there's the claim that like 98% of scientists agree that climate change is real, and I certainly do. And it is true that the like insanely vast majority of scientists do agree that climate change is real. Climate deniers will counter that argument by pointing out, perhaps rightfully so, that of those like 98% of scientists who agree with climate change, some of them are like chemists or like food chemists and people who don't have an expertise in climate science. And like, I hate to give any credit to any climate denier, but like they are technically correct. Like that stat that is often used is a bit dishonest because it is including every scientist, computer scientists who are like, yeah, obviously climate change is real. Yeah. And you're like, well, Kevin, you program things, man. Like, you don't know how climate patterns work. But also, like, on the other hand, a computer programmer, a computer scientist still should hopefully, or could potentially, have the base knowledge to be able to look at data and know how to trust other scientists and be like, yeah, this seems legit. And what gets me even more frustrated on that climate change thing is that whenever I see any scientist who is saying climate change is fake, whenever I see like whatever Facebook friend, like the guy from the founder of the Weather Channel says that climate change is fake, which is the thing. He has said that because he's not a scientist. He founded a media station. He's literally not a climate scientist. Jesus. He did found the Weather Channel. That's true, because he's not a scientist.
Wait, the guy who founded the Weather Channel is a climate change denier?
Yeah. And I've actually written climate change articles I've written climate change articles for the Weather Channel. which is also like adds, because the guy's like 90 years old now and he's retired. Like, he's not part of the company anymore.
Right.
But yeah, like Weather Channel is a good company. They're part of IBM, largely a good company in the grand scheme of major corporations who exist in the world. I guess they're fine.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and I see these people. They're like, oh well, this scientist said this, and also very often you can find any scientist who has any background in anything related to Earth sciences who has ever gone on the record saying climate change is fake. If you Google their name, you can, in my experience, 100% of the time, anecdotally, be like, oh, they were on ExxonMobil's payroll, at least at some point in the past, in a very public manner.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not really going to trust them. Like,
that's fair.
Maybe they have some point. Maybe they have some point somewhere that they are correct about. But again, like, I guess this kind of goes back to like the good faith versus bad faith arguments that can be used. Hold on, I knocked my thing out. Yeah, maybe it goes back to the good faith versus bad faith arguments that can be used. Like, you can argue in good faith that like that 98% of scientists believe in climate change is kind of a deceitful number. You can argue that in good faith. But people who tend to use that argument are not arguing in good faith because they are propping up the voice of one guy who works for ExxonMobil as like the valid, well, this one guy who's already being paid by the oil industry, he says climate change is fake, and that stat is questionable. Therefore, I must be right that it's fake. You're like, that's not how this works.
Not how it works. Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Parallels. I like this. This is going well. This is going way better than I thought it would. So
you're just. I mean, I'm just kind of going.
Yeah. But you know about writing. You know more about writing than I thought I would get out of you. Like, I didn't know how this conversation was gonna go. It's going great. It's going so good.
Team.
Every now and then
honestly, it is tricky. Sometimes you are like, when you are writing things, especially you're on a deadline, and even when you are trying with best intentions, you can screw things up. And you might overlook things. Maybe the information isn't available, or like that. In a short time, you want to find all the details. Maybe it's not all available. Okay. I started an article on Friday. I like left a note and like I put some notes in my draft. I saw that the dean of NYU, Tish, some students had emailed her asking about tuition refunds, because particularly in the art school, when you're teaching things remotely, it's very difficult, especially in theater arts, performing arts. Like, to not do stuff in person is really, really difficult. Not the same as learning like science. Like, it's not. And the video got around of the dean, no joke, performing an interpretive dance to "Losing My Religion" by Aria. And this was the response the dean sent to students asking for refunds. It was a video of her dancing to "Losing My Religion" by Aria.
Okay.
It did not look good. Did not look good.
No.
I left it. I took a note on Friday, started like a WordPress doc about it, and I was like, I'll get back to this over the weekend. Luckily, since then, it has come out. Like, some students have come to her defense and actually published the full context of the email she sent, where she attached that video and gave context for the video. Yeah. And basically, she was like, her response was honestly, I thought, a fair response. She's like, I'm a dean at a ginormous institution. I have no power over refunds. I agree with you that this is hard, but we're also kind of all freaking out right now, and no one knows what's happening. And this is the best choice we can make right now, and I'm sorry about that. And I want to serve you well. And she talked a bit about, I guess in the past, she had a history of a lot of times she emailed students. She ended with a video of an interpretive dance. This is a thing she was done. And she talked about, and this is the thing, because she's the dean of the art school.
Yeah.
And she talked about it, about like, she compared this to like the AIDS crisis, and she's like, this song was important to me when I was like in college and dealing with the AIDS crisis, and how like that stuff had shut down some stuff at NYU also, and like so she included that, and I was like, actually, all right, in the context, this isn't as tone deaf as it sounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that also.
I did a quick search. I did a quick search on Friday or Thursday night, whatever, when I saw the news, and I was like, oh, this is ugly. Like, there's no way. This looks so tone deaf. There's no way this is good. But I was like, I'll table it, whatever. And there's that part of me, because this is how media works, that part of it satisfied, that, like, there's that itch of like, oh man, I can get this out there because it's just starting to trickle out into the world.
Yeah.
I can be one of the first people to write about this. This would be really cool. But I held off on it. And like now, like I tried Googled her name, I tried searching for things, and at that point there wasn't enough information publicly available. I would have had to like find students to talk to. It would have been a huge thing to find out if there was anything else to it. And luckily, people have done that, and now a few days later,
yeah,
it's not as big of a deal as it sounded. But like that, unfortunately, when you're all, like under deadline, you have to publish stuff. There is pressure. You're like, oh crap! If you see this dean, you're like, oh man, that looks bad. I'm going to post something about this, and you could like scramble to find students to talk to about it, and maybe the only ones who are willing to go on record are the ones who are already pissed off, and so you don't know if you can trust them. But you're under deadline. There's a fire under your ass, and you're like, I got to write the thing.
Yeah.
And that can go, unfortunately, even when you're acting with good intentions, it can go awry very easily.
Truth. I like this. I like this a lot. I think, so I guess we could go wherever with this. I think one of the things that's the problem currently with coronavirus and all the hysteria is that we're all scared and we all want answers, and those answers don't exist yet. So if we see something that looks like an answer, we just grab onto it, and that's how a lot of people share skewed information. Yep. I won't call it misinformation, but maybe not the best researched information.
Yeah, I mean, even this whole chloroquine thing.
Oh yeah.
Chloroquine. I don't know what the actual pronunciation.
I think it's chloroquine.
You're right. That makes sense. Hydroxychloroquine, but yeah, that like Trump has insisted that it is gonna work for everything, and it has apparently been very good for some people. It largely is for malaria and for lupus, and it apparently has worked well for some cases of COVID-19. But like, I read someone I saw, I have like on my public Facebook page, and I post journalism stuff, like someone was like, oh yeah, like look at this study, it proves it works. And it was like a study of like 80 people in France, and there was no information about, and like 78 of the 80 people recovered while on chloroquine. There was no other information in the article that the person posted about like what were the controls in that study, what other medication was used, what other treatment was used. Who the hell knows? Maybe this was part of a larger thing. But like, maybe it's bad. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's great. There are also now, like, because the president has said this, there are now pharmacies who are rationing their chloroquine and not giving it to people who have lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, who have been using this drug for years to handle their condition, are suddenly being told they can't have it because the president said it works on COVID-19. And there's now a demand for it.
Yeah.
And that is like, it's irresponsible that to have been said in the first place.
Right.
But like, it's also irresponsible to like and continue saying, oh yeah, this drug definitely works. It sounds like, honestly, it probably is. Like, yeah, like it might, maybe it helps some things. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it has helped some people with some things. Cool. But like, I don't know. So does Sudafed. Like.
Yeah. Well, also with that,
takes Sudafed and like, oh, you're fine. What's that?
With that, there's so many risks. Like, that's a tough drug. Like, the margin of error for like taking too much and dying, it's like you don't just willingly take it. You take it very carefully, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. Also, here in Ohio, we've had a huge problem with doctors calling in their own scripts for like 1,000 tablets, or like they'll call in a script for their dog, and they're hoarding it for themselves, and that's a huge problem.
Yeah, wow, that's terrible. I guess maybe a good like journalism and pharmaceutical example. I did an article a few years back because there was a headline that got around about, of course, it was the headline that got around to everyone about a male birth control test. And essentially it was like male birth control trials, they canceled because 7 men complained of PMS-like symptoms after taking this pill. And frankly, the headline's really embarrassing. And you're like, dude, come on. And women were rightly pissed about that. I read the entire study that it was based on, and the PMS symptoms were not the reason it was canceled. For A, 7 people who complained about PMS symptoms all said they would have continued taking the male birth control pill. The actual problem was that it started off as a 300-person trial. By the time, within 2 years, it had dropped down to like 180 or so people, 170, and they didn't do any controls for diet or anything. And during the trial, 2 people who had no previous, they also did not do very good work about checking people for mental health beforehand and screening them. But 2 people who had no like written history of depression died by suicide after taking this birth control pill. A 3rd person tried. All 3 of these people lived in Indonesia. And the doctors involved in this were like, shit, like, is this because of our pill? We don't know. Is it because of an interaction with the pill and maybe their diet in Indonesia? Is it a cultural thing that this is affecting their diet in Indonesia? Is it work-related stress that affects like the testosterone level? Is there anything here? There are so many questions. Yeah. And at that point, they were down to like 120 people in the sample. And they weren't going to get any good because they had already fucked up from the beginning of the experiment. They hadn't taken enough controls that they were just like, well, we probably should not continue this experiment because more people might die by suicide, and that's really bad. And we will not get the data we need right now for this male birth control pill that has otherwise, in the rest of our test samples, been 99% effective, and that's awesome, and also reversible. That's great, but they clearly did not do a good experiment, and caused may have caused or been intentionally connected to the loss of human life.
Right.
And that's why they called stop the study.
Yeah.
And it was a weird thing where like I kind of had to be like the person shitting the good news. People, like a lot of women I knew were right being like, oh, you bitches, like you guys can't deal with little PMS symptoms. And I was like, I'm not trying to be like that guy right now, but like scientifically, this was a bad study that killed people.
Yeah.
Maybe killed people. And that's really tragic. And like, it's not because of the PMS part though. The PMS part was what the headline said, and people got excited about that and were commenting, and it got popular. But that's not actually what.
That's not what happened.
And because frankly, like, I don't know, like. No one's going to read an article about like male birth control study canceled because 3 subjects tried to kill themselves. Like, that's not really. It doesn't sound. You'd be like, okay, cool. Well, we don't have male birth control anyway, so why do I care?
Yeah.
And suicide's depressing, obviously, and no one wants to talk about that. Yeah. Which is a whole other issue I'm not going to go off on right now, but like, yeah, but it got people noticed it because of the PMS thing, and that's just like it was. Just, I get that was funny, that like people complain about like bloating and moodiness, but like it was not the best.
Yeah. All right, that was awesome. I forgot about that story, and that's actually really cool that you did the back work.
You heard about it though, right?
I did hear about it. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take 5. I don't think I'm gonna lose you, but you're not gonna be able to hear the music I play. I'm gonna take 5. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll come back. And do you want to play some music? Was that the thing?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Sure.
I
may as well.
Yeah. Taking 5. Playing some music, and then we'll come back. All right.
All right.
All right, cool.
Later in the evening, it's falling still. It's gonna make us feel. It's kept inside your portions of interest. Ooh, Lord. My cock's on drugs. My cock's on drugs. It's ripping up my car's feet, grabbing people by the feet. I thought it would be pretty neat, but now it's dirty enough to heat. It's up for grabs, up to kill, looking for a drink to spill. Trying to find a cheap girl I never should have took that deal. My cock's on drugs. My cock's on drugs. My cock's on drugs. A group of constituents, a denizen, pack of coagulants, bleed that dry, watch them die, take their eyes off of the prize. At initiation, he was a good man. Represent the people, he would make us stand. Wouldn't lust for power, but power was a temptress. The people in his corner made decisions that would be the best for the privileged handful, and were treated like animals.
What song's playing?
They told us it would be for the best.
Hold on, I'll let you know when it's done.
Wrap their hearts in the cave of this. You're dying in the shadows. It's a never-ending battle. We wonder who we left. A man of principle, a man for the people, but not every set of praying hands for swords and says steeple. You divide them into percentages. What makes the most, what pays the most dividends, and what cost society lost. They told us it would be for the best. Wrap their hearts in the cave of this. You're dying in the shadows. It's a never-ending battle. We wonder who we left. They told us it would be for the best. They told us it would be for the best. They told us it would be for the best. They told us it would be for the best. They told us it would be for the best. Wrap their hearts in a cave of this. You're dying in
All right, you there? Are you there? Okay. Dumb question. Were you able to hear the music? Or no?
I was not.
Okay, that's fine.
No.
Also my camera went to sleep. Hold on. So that was a band called The Perps, who are from the Detroit area, I think. They played Black Christmas with the Suicide Machines. Also, I think you froze. Hold on a minute. I am not frozen. You... Yeah, you should still be there. Like, I don't know, I hear you. Hold on a second. Yeah, we're back. That was a band called
All right.
Okay. Band called The Perps. I think I played Boris the Sprinkler before that. One person's watching, so go us. And also, two things that are a little bit weird. One is that I'm really into ska, like the last month. I don't know what's wrong with me.
We all have our fault. It's okay.
And number two, and this is a thing that, like, I never thought I'd live in Ohio, first of all. Second of all, I'm in love with Detroit, and I love going there, and I love their scene, and I didn't think that would ever happen.
How far is Columbus from Detroit?
3 hours.
3 hours? Okay.
Yeah. My best friend lives, like, just north of Detroit, so I go up there. Like, if I have an excuse to go up there, I go up there. And,
yeah,
and usually, I don't know, like, we're the capital, but we don't get a ton of, like, amazing shows. Like, I end up in Cleveland, or sometimes Cincinnati, but I hate Cincinnati. Yeah.
How far are those from you?
2 hours.
2 hours each?
Yeah,
okay.
2 hours each.
It is definitely, I've been living in Ithaca, New York for the last 2 years. And having grown up right outside New Haven and spending most of my life in the city of Boston has been just like a very eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
Because Ithaca is not, the people who live here will often say it's not upstate New York. It is Western New York, and it's definitely it's definitely Western New York. It's a lot closer. It's closer to Ohio.
Yeah.
It's northern West Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's been really eye-opening in that way. Like people told me there was a lot of music around here when we moved here, but they were not wrong per se. It just was not. I have a very low tolerance for white guys with dreadlocks saying "ja" a lot.
Oh, you mean like
and I just don't smoke enough weed to be into like Grateful Dead knockoff bands. So
it's like Vermont.
It's like Vermont.
Yes.
But Vermont, it's definitely like Vermont in a way.
So, like, I mean...
And I get it, but I'm still like, this isn't really my yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah. So, that was, like, me with Vermont. Like, I love Vermont. It was a great place, but I still drive 2 hours for a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So driving 2 hours here doesn't really bother me. It's like, is there a show? Okay, great.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think I've gotten used to more so. I would drive 2 hours for a show before in Boston and Haven because those are 2 hour apart.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I drove 3 hours just to Buffalo to see the mountain goats a long time. I drove 2 hours to Rochester to see Fogging Molly, and even like that 3 hour plus trip to Buffalo, and then we drove back that night, and I was like, oh, and it was interesting, just forgetting like how much of like that's so normal for a lot of people in a lot of places, and kind of just experiencing that. You're like, okay, cool, I get it, and like it wasn't as insane as it sounded to me.
Yeah.
If you asked me 5 years ago about driving 3 hours for a show and driving back, I'd be like, what, man, that's crazy. But I'm like, all right, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah. No, I do that. There are nights when I go up to Detroit and I have to work the following morning, and I'm a train wreck, but I'll do it. And also a lot, so the last show I actually went to was in Chicago. I went up to see my friend's record release show, and Chicago's 6 hours from here. I spent the weekend. And everyone was like, why did you go out there for that show? That's insane. And I'm like, they're my friends. And sometimes fun things don't happen where you live. And you have to go to fun things.
Yeah.
So I did that. And also...
It is definitely a twist on perspective. But...
Huh? Oh, shit.
You can finish. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's also, like you said, tons of people have to drive hours for shows if they want to go. And some people can sit back and complain and be like, oh, shows never come here. But then go to them if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is only funny, even I think about, even for kind of basic things, my wife's doctor is an hour away from Ithaca, but that's it's a full 50 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm still blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, when we're in Boston, it's okay, well, I might drive an hour to band practice, but it's also only 6 miles, and it takes me an hour to get there.
Yeah.
But it's and I'm somehow just well, that seems normal to me.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Even though it's well, I don't know. They're both kind of great. It's an hour either way, even if the distance is very different. The physical difference.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab my dog and shut him up. You wanna play some songs? And talk about them?
Sure. Sure. Got my capo. There's my capo. Cool. That's not in my way. This one, I'm going to switch that a little bit. Cool.
All right.
So I play guitar. All right. So I play guitar and I sing in a band called The Roland High Life. And even then, speaking of distance, I live either in Boston or Ithaca, depending on the week. One guy lives in Boston, one guy lives in Brooklyn, one guy lives in Newport. And we have our third album. We're finishing up the mixes on the third album right now, which I'm very excited about. It's awesome. And we do it all ourselves. We just kind of camp out for a weekend and somewhere, off in Vermont. We did our last album in Vermont. We just endorsed Vermont. We kind of huddled down and knocked everything out. So this song feels just appropriate based on the conversation we've been having, because it's about conspiracy theorists on the internet. It's the first song on our last album, which you can find on Spotify. We're called The Roland High Life. First taste of blood is when you fell in love. Next thing you know, you couldn't get enough. So you stalk the streets to find another fix. Never seen the turn or tricks. Then one day you took his name in vain, and I'm glad you found a better way. One drug was just like the other one. When the cradle comes, it's people say you want another, say you want another try. But you don't know why you do it, don't know what it does to you. Everything was fine in Buddy's big old house, with his 2.5 kids and a perfect spouse. Got a bullshit job, 6-digit pay. There's a secret you can't convey. There was something you saw in that video. Can't believe how deep this deep state goes. Spending all his time to find a cover cup. Can't get enough. So he says he wants another, says he wants another shoe. But he don't know why he does it, don't know what he's trying to do. So he says he wants another, says he wants another shoe. But he doesn't know the bottom won't help him make it through. There's like a sick organ solo here, I swear. Across the land to find a greener place for the serene eyes that sang all day. He dug in deep, searching for the melody that would set him free. And they say they want another, say they want another tree. But they don't know why they do it, don't know what they like the view. They say they want another, say they want another truth. Cause the same one that we share just won't do.
Woo! That was fun. I like that.
It's a lot cooler when they got the organ going on and the keys, but you know. It's on
I'll believe
Spotify.
it.
You can hear it
I'll
wholly
believe it.
on Spotify.
Actually, I listened to it a little bit. I was like, this is good. This is really good. Yay. So, I'll play that. So here's a question. You found yourself going to Boston a lot and going to shows in Boston and going to shows in different parts of the world. Everybody's nicer than in Connecticut, aren't they?
I mean, there's different kinds of niceness I've found. I guess, I mean, Connecticut's weird, I guess, because I didn't spend any of my adult life in Connecticut. But so, like, I went to shows with friends, and I made a lot of friends. So I was like 14, 15, and it was cool, and people were accepting of that, and that was neat. It's definitely like a weird, like, even in Ithaca compared to Boston, Ithaca has more of this like outwardly friendliness, where people are a lot more like willing to engage you on the street. At the shows, they're like people are happy to be at concerts in general, and that's really neat. And there's like the lack of judgment there. People are just happy to be at any concert, and that you're there too is like makes you bonded for life. But at the same time, people are also like very guarded when it comes to like anything beyond this like surface connection. Okay. In my experience. Yeah. Whereas in Boston, I think people are a lot more effusive initially, but then they like form a much more hardcore bond over certain things when you break down that wall, that ice wall. Okay. Ice wall isn't hard to break down, but it's there. Yeah. But once you break it down, people are a lot more like bond to you a lot harder. Okay. There's a lot more of like a camaraderie. I mean, even in terms you understand. I don't know how many of our listeners understand it, but like think about like Boston hardcore bands and like the bro, like the that's a broy like bro dude energy, but like the unity energy, like the hardcore scene of like very Boston hardcore bands are like, we are the brotherhood and we are together and we are like going to fight together in a very almost like pro-union way, very union-based way. And I think Boston's like that, where there's just like, when you break down the ice barrier, people welcome you into their union. They're like union strong energy in a different way. So it's like it takes a moment to get through there, but then it's deeper than like the upfront connection. And some people also don't want to really join a union when they go to a concert. They want to go to a concert and don't really like need to bond with anybody. So having those like fair weather friends at a concert who are just happy to be there is really welcoming and refreshing at the same time.
I don't know. I just found myself in places where there wasn't bro energy, and I was just like, thank God, finally. Sorry, my dog's being very, annoying.
That's okay. It's cute. Yeah. Dogs can get away with it.
Someone's barbecuing next door, so... I don't even get him. I don't know. I did the whole trip down memory lane because Tyler Jones passed away, and I'm like, God, they were such a good fucking band. At the same time, I had a lot of angst towards them because one time backstage at a show, some of their members said some things that were really fucking misogynist, and I was like, wow, fuck you. But at the same time, like before that happened, there was a whole lot of love for those guys, and I still have that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, I think there's a shitty like kind of grand world perspective. Yeah. It's not like when you do get dudes together, especially in like this rock and roll scene, can be like there can be kind of a gross energy there of like some of like the jokes and humor, and because there is certainly like that middle school mindset of like I'm gonna get chicks, even it can really be pervasive and like really infect you to a certain degree, and like I don't think that's region exclusive, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I don't think it's regional.
Damn it. Fuck.
Song-wise, I mean, when you're in the music, like at a concert, there can be a different energy, but I feel like you're gonna encounter some shitty dudes no matter where you go, unfortunately.
Yeah. But
shitty dudes are a virus that cannot be escaped with a face mask and literal 20 seconds of hand washing.
Fucking quote of the year. That's fucking great. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's it. Although I was like the whole Connecticut memory lane thing. Apparently Matt Flood put out Jay Navarro and the Traders, which I'm like, God damn, Flood, what the fuck happened? And in the back of my mind, I'm like, God, I hope Jay's getting paid. And I mean that honestly.
There was the third verse of that last song I played, Another Truth, is definitely about a singer of one Connecticut band. I don't know. I could just say it, whatever. No one's gonna listen. It's about the guy from These Green Eyes.
I don't actually know who that
definitely is. Flood and I. Oh, okay. Flood and I talk a lot about how off the deep end on far right conspiracy theories this particular person has gone. And
what the fuck?
And it was a thing. Yeah, and it was just like he's really good at like kind of disarming, and I'll try to like listen. Like the writer in me likes to experience other points of view, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm with you. Sometimes I'm like, and okay, this jumped. Yep, okay. I don't think George Soros was funding this ISIS. You know, I don't. Quite frankly, I feel confident in saying that.
Shit. Oh my. Wow. So that happened.
George Soros is not funding ISIS, so we're all clear. In fact, no one knows who George Soros is unless they are a conspiracy theorist making up things.
Jesus.
I say this because I know I've probably been paid by institutions that have been paid by institutions that have been funded by George Soros, and I'm like, I only know who this person is because of a few crazy people who mentioned his name.
All right.
He definitely has not given me marching orders. I can assure you that.
This is fucking. Yeah. All right.
Got my lesson.
This was a good talk. I'm glad I got to
Yeah.
talk to you. Yeah, I'll look up for your writing more. I guess I didn't realize there was so much of it. I'll read about HVAC.
I crank a lot of crap out. I sent my latest novel to my literary agent like 2 months ago, and that's actually about a addiction support group for conspiracy theorists. So hopefully that gets some traction soon. Because I spent a lot. It's like 500 pages of work about conspiracy theorists. I spent a lot. It's fiction, but it's got into a lot of weird headspaces. I thought it was going to be a funny idea, and then I realized you need to have empathy with fiction. It's clearly a part of it. Once I was like, cool, everyone's a crazy conspiracy theorist, and here's their conspiracies. And I was like, wait, they also all need a reason to go to a support group. Not only are they damaged in some way that has caused them to seek some kind of meaning through these conspiracies, but then I realized I set myself up I thought it was going to be funny, my original goal, and then I was like, oh wait, no, you all have to have a reason, have to have additional damage to go to a support group, and then it became quickly not a funny book at all. Oh my God. As I laugh, because I'm very proud of it, and I hope it gets published soon.
That'd be fun. That would be fun. Cool. I just do this. I do this, and I work in a lab. And when we're not under quarantine, I still do circus stuff. I don't know.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, dude. All right. So backtracking a little bit, Porto hated it. Absolutely. Like he had like so much contempt for it, and I was just like, well, this is my life, so
that's really shitty. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. That's really disappointing. Like,
and I think that also it shaped the way I feel about it. So now, like, I do it and I love it, but sometimes I tell people about it, and I'm like, yeah, I do this thing, and they're like, oh my God, you do what? And I'm like, yeah, I do this thing, kind of boring, and they're like, still, it's been like 6 or 7 years, and I'm still like, someone is gonna hate this. And they don't. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's shitty. Just like I don't know, people have their passions, and like if people love doing the thing, let them do a thing.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. And there are like certainly when my wife and I started dating a decade ago. I mean, one of the first, probably together for 6 months maybe, when Springhill Jack played that reunion show at Jones Place in 2010.
Okay.
And I brought her to that, and she was completely like, she's a theater director, and so like she likes theater, she likes music, she likes rock music. She was never like into music as much as I am.
Yeah.
And so even then, like her like coming to the show, I had to like kind of coach her and be like, okay, cool. So I know there's 1,000 people at this concert. I probably know 300 of them, and here are the ones you have to actually pay attention to. She was like totally overwhelmed, but she was down with it. And as the longer we've been together, she's like, I'll go to, if you want me to come to a concert with you, I'll come. But like, I don't really get it. I don't care. Like I did bring her to I brought her when Frank Renner played at Ganis Arena at BU, his first like U.S. arena show.
There.
And she was like, it was great, but like, and she was like, I had an extra ticket. She came, but she was like, that was a really good show. But she's like, I didn't. Like, I mean, Bounce Bowl, she did not get a crowd out like that. And also their mix was terrible. Even though I was like, I don't know, I wasn't that into them when I was young. I get it, but like they weren't not too good for the arena. setting. But yeah, but she's funny when she's like, she'll come along and she'll always be a good sport and let me have fun. But she's just like, yeah, cool, you do you. I don't really, it's not my scene as well, but I'll go along with it.
That's cool.
That's all I need.
All right, cool.
And then sometimes she paint her shows for the same reason.
Yeah.
The guitar. So.
Yeah. So I still do circus stuff, and I don't know. Like I have this split personality. Like I do a radio show. Look at all these punk rock things I do. I also do this. They don't really go together. And
That's
I
okay.
collab.
They don't have to go together.
Yeah. And I
that's okay. Like
samples.
people like. But that's how people that's how everyone is. People who have weird people have all kinds of weird jobs. I mean, I tried to pursue a creative life, and then here I am. Like, I mean, I still am doing a lot of creative stuff. And still, that's mostly what I do. But like, it's still I'm like I review air conditioners for the New York Times. That's just like it's a weird thing that happens.
Yeah.
You gotta pay the bills. I don't.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah. All right.
And then it's like I find it I kind of hate this whenever I go to like networking events or whatever, but I think there's the artist in me, like the creative person in me, that I hate asking people what they do because I don't want to place a value. Like I don't want their value to be based on their labor in a certain way. But there's the artist in me just genuinely wants to know, like, if I met you at a party, for example, and you were like, I do this acrobatic stuff, and I do this like punk rock like radio show. I still kind of want to be like, how the hell do you pay your bills? Because not out of like judgment, but out of like genuine curiosity as another artist. Just like, that's super cool. I want to hear about that, but also like, how do you survive? How do you make that work for you?
Well, let's see. I stream stuff on Twitch in hopes that someday someone will want to monetize it, and I'll get enough followers that I can sell ad space. And sometimes I get paid for circus gigs, but mostly I work 40 hours a week in a lab.
Right. And then I was like, oh, cool. Now you seem like a relatable human, and I can hang out with you.
Yeah. It's like, every now and then I explain myself, and it's like, I'm the punk rock chick, but also, hey, I know all this nerdy stuff about viruses. And people are like, fuck. Yeah.
I mean, even in the real entire life, we always laugh because our drummer dropped out of college to tour with a hardcore band for a while, and he did that, moved back to Boston, and became a realtor for like college rental apartments because it was like a flexible job.
Yeah. And
like he and I lived together for a year, and he was making at least 3 times as much money as I was making doing real estate. And he fucking hated it, but he did it. And now he works. He has like a decent job, like doing like mortgages for a bank, and he's like, man, you guys got like you're cool. You followed your passion, man. I shouldn't have dropped out of college. And I'm just like, Chris, you make like $150,000 a year, dude. Like, and you dropped out of college. Like, you're doing better than I am, and you get to play drums still. Like, you're doing okay.
Yeah, I don't make that much money.
Yeah, no, he's doing good. I don't know how much he makes, but like,
I make dropped out of college, on the job training vet tech money.
Yeah,
and it's good. I mean, it's not bad considering.
People, I mean, even to tie this back to the media stuff, some people I know started a media salaries spreadsheet that like got a lot of attention a few months ago, and it was like really crazy seeing like the average like journalism salary was like 60,000. Not cheap. And it was interesting, and that's fairly normal, and it's not great or bad. It's just like fine. But it was interesting seeing like some of like, especially like a lot of the far right publications were trying to like smear like, look at all these like privileged elite journalists, and it was like, the average income in America is like $59,000 a year. So it sounds like every journalist here is exactly average income of America. And there are certainly some, and there were some that like that were very. There were some crazy numbers. There were some that was like who also like I forget who it was, but there was like someone who at like Vox or something, and it was very clear. Like, it was an anonymous spreadsheet, but if you read the data, you could figure out who it was, and it was like, yeah, of course you make $400,000 a year. I'm not surprised, because you're like you're a celebrity. Like, fine, okay, but mostly it was people making like 50 to 70.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, that guy, that's
cool.
It's good. Like, you can live on that, and it's cool, and it's fine. It's fine.
Whatever. So yeah, that's me. That's
cool.
Whatever. Yeah, jump on at any time. This is fun. I don't always have live guests, but now that we're all like on lockdown, everybody's bored, so it's like, yeah, I got this thing. You want to get on it? Of course, the other thing is that everyone else has realized that they can live stream themselves, and then it's like, oh, guess I can fuck myself. You don't want to be in my channel.
Yeah, I'm both trying to figure out how to host band practice or songwriting sessions remotely, and also trying to figure out like, should we be posting like cover songs or something? I don't know. Everyone's doing that. Well, how do we do something cool or different? I don't know. And also, I also probably don't have to do. I think my biggest flaw often is my obsession with like, how do I make it extra unique? And I'm like, it doesn't have to be that unique. It just has to be good.
This has to be. I mean, sing in tune if that's your thing, but it's also hard because like. What just happened?
I don't know. I thought I heard a weird thing. I don't know what it was.
Okay. It's also hard because, like, internet connections are not always great. Like, you played a song.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see your whole band without a slightly better setup. But, like, and it also sucks because, like, potentially I have the equipment to do that. But I can't go to anybody anymore.
Right.
So I basically have to be like, all right, do you guys have a good iPhone? Because that might work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, But this was fun. Come back anytime.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're fun to talk to. Damn it. I miss scenes stuff a little bit. But you're entertaining. I'll look for your articles. We talked about good stuff.
I hope this was helpful.
Huh?
I hope I was helpful.
It was. It kind of confirmed everything I knew and expanded on that, which was really interesting. And also the fact that you actually put in the legwork and like do research before you publish something. Thank you.
Usually, I've screwed up before. I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do it because you got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
You're like, and it's and then it happens to you. It's embarrassing because you're just like, yep, I screwed up because I was under pressure and I was stressed and I was trying to get a thing in on deadline, and then I fucked up, and that's really all it is. I'm human and I fucked up.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay safe. Drink your whiskey. Don't drink too much whiskey. I do have a fear that like hundreds of people are going to come out the other side of this alcoholics.
It's not impossible.
Yeah. Or like addicted to benzos or something like that.
I think I've actually been drinking less, but probably because my wife's not drinking because, spoiler alert, we're having a child. But so I've probably been drinking like a little less because of that.
Oh my gosh! Yay, that's so cool.
I'm really good at bearing the lead about this also. I just like drop it like casually.
By the way.
I made a joke on Twitter the other day where I was just like, so do I get $500 for the stimulus package for a child, or does my fetus not count as a child for the Republicans right now? And a bunch of my friends were like,
hold up,
wait,
what?
They're like, hold on, back up. And I was like,
surprise. When? Do you know when?
July.
All right. Oh, that's not that far away. Really, I'm bad at math. It doesn't seem that far away.
3.5 months. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fucking cool, dude.
All right. A little psycho punk rock child.
Oh, fuck. So here's the terrible thing. I'm still not ending the interview, but so I've never wanted kids my entire life. This is a thing. I still don't actually want to have kids, but when I hit like my mid-30s, my biological clock like would occasionally ring, and it was really fucking scary. Like one day, like there's this dude I was kind of into, like casually in my mind, and one day I was just kind of like eating breakfast, thinking, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and then when we have kids, boom! Wait, what? What the fuck did I just say? I was like, what is wrong with me? This is terrible, but it's all I can think about.
I mean, we definitely had talked about it. We had talked about it in the abstract since we started, since we got serious. It would probably happen someday. We've been together for a decade now, but Ben's 37. And yeah, I think it was just like her body was just like, she was always like, I want to have kids. And I was like, cool, that sounds cool. I want to have kids too. Yeah. And then I think her body is a lot more just like, cool. We want this now.
This now. It's so wild. Like, I know I'm not gonna do it, but like when biology takes over, shit gets weird.
It is weird when you think about how like about the ways in which we are just like we're just dumb animals. Yeah. And there are like, and I hate like thinking about like internet and like how people click on things. I'm like, there's so many ways, and even talking about tribalism and politics and stuff. I'm just like, we're just dumb animals. Like in the end of the day, like it's embarrassing sometimes when people are like get really tribal with politics because everyone does it on like in every possible belief system. But like, and it's embarrassing when you realize you're falling for it too, because like you're a dumb animal. We're just like a bunch of freaking apes, and like we just fall for these still like must survive with tribe. And then we're just like, no, we don't have to do that. Okay, it's actually okay.
Oh my!
But it's so easy just to fall into those like base instincts, and then you're like,
shit, what happened?
Yeah.
All right, dude. Good luck. I want to know all about the wee one and everything, and that's so cool. I'm super pumped for my friends when they have kids. It's not for me, but that's super cool when people have. Yeah, and I'll play your band and all that stuff. Talk whenever.
Cool.
This has been great.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Be well. Take care of yourself.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Oh my gosh, my camera is all fucking weird. Hold on. I'm gonna play some music and I'll figure out my internet stuff. I don't know what's on the Spotify. We're gonna find out. Blacklister.
Going down for everything I've ever done. open parenthesis, open bracket. It should be noted I've been staying, close bracket, on the, close parenthesis, 13th floor. Well, it should be noted I'm staying on the 13th floor. It should be noted I'm staying on the 13th floor. You go round and around till you can't go around no more. It should be noted I'm starting when a wise man stops. It should be noted I'm starting when a wise man stops. You go round and around till the run home lady call the cops. On the 13th floor, on the 13th floor, on the 13th floor, on the 13th floor. Yeah, they got Renaissance sailboys, still got the yell boys, don't come around no more. They go round and around and around, hot diggy baby. It should be noted that I'm not a happy fellow. All this goes so morning of the jello. Wild boys play songs on the radiator. Desperate calls up to the bit I hate her. Round and around and around. It should be noted that I didn't write another verse. It should be noted that I didn't write another verse. And I'm staying on the 13th floor just makes it worse. I'm staying on the 13th floor just makes it worse. Go round and around and around. Round and around and around. Round and around and around on the 13th floor.
Yeah. So that was my friend Tom that I've known since he was 13. God, he's having a kid. Oh my god. And now I'm old. Officially, because Thom Dunn is having a child. That's crazy. I'm so excited. You guys can't drop shit like that on me on my fucking live stream, okay? Like, seriously, you gotta, like, text me and be like, so just so you know, this is happening. Oh my god! Yeah, I'm gonna play his music not on that setup, because our connection sucked. It was great for talking, and not much else, so I'll play songs, like, later. I'll play them in a bit. I'll cue some up, for fuck's sake. He confirmed everything I thought, and taught me more, so, fuck yeah. There they are. I'll pull that up. I'll cue them up and hopefully, yeah, there's a bunch of them here. Alright, cool. He's got a bunch of songs. I'll play them at some point. Yeah. I gotta close my window because it's really breezy in here. I guess I can play a song in that case if I'm gonna close my window and be off the mic. So I'll do that. This is the Roland Highway from Boston, Ithaca, Brooklyn. And I don't know what I'm gonna play. Oh. Dad's Diaries. Let's do it.
Dad's diaries are waiting in the top drawer of a bedstand. In the places that we go, we get lonely for an hour. The paper-thin parchment crunches when I turn the page like autumn leaves that fell from burning trees too soon. Translucent and impermanent, the noises keep me company in every body tune. I read my favorite stories to the girl that I won't marry, from the time when you were 32, and think of all the shit you carried with you on your back. You never let it weigh you down, and I am hoping to remember all the things you taught me back when you were still around, back when Dad, I see your diaries were written down by someone else's hands, but I still remember everything you taught me about how to be a man. So you'll be glad to know that your granddaughter is working overseas, where she is farming does it all for free, and how I almost tied your grandson to a fence the other day, but I just pelted him with rocks until he let out all the gay. You see, I'm trying hard to live my life just the way you told me, or at least the way I read it in this dusty little story book where your friends had all your best intentions written down. Father, I forgot to ask you how you drank from that bloody glass, and split the fish while we were killing kingdoms in your name, and how you loved the lonely lepers and knew your mother's whore, but you told me that the wicked would not be let in your door. But you're not around to give me home the answers I might need, so I'm forced to watch as Mary takes my $60 and leaves. Me with Dad's diaries.
There's a long winding road and a set of red lights, and I follow them daily, they fill up my eyes. My vision is wasted, I feel like I'd rather be blind. It leads to a clear blue sky and a crisp ocean breeze, and a heavy glass door that keeps you from me. A mountain of stone that they built up to keep me inside. Well, I love you so much and I hate it with all of my might. There's a white piece of paper I'm handed each week, and although I can read it, don't know what it means, but they tell me that that's what I need to survive. Well, the lights and the stone and the paper I don't need, they banded together, they built a machine that's slowly consuming me, taking up all of my time. Well, I love you so much and I hate it with all of my might. Between you and me, and you packed up and disappeared into the trees. Now I wouldn't recognize who's on the end of the line, and we speak too infrequently for my taste, and we only make time when we have time to waste. I can't explain why you seem to keep slipping my mind. Well, I love you so much and I hate it with all of my might. We spent 8 years together in lockstep and stride, and then 2 roads diverged and we chose different sides. Now I only hear from you Christmas and when someone dies. Well, I love you so much and I hate it with all of my might. There's a handful of people I'll need in the end. That's my lover, my mother, and my oldest friend. And now I see the 3 of you somehow been stripped from my side. Well, I love you so much and I hate it with all of my might. I hate it so much
got some weird noise on the mic. There, I fixed it. Let's give it up for those great cables. I thought that cable's great. The cable is I forget the brand name, but it was like the more expensive one. At St. Ash. It's a microphone that is like not expensive. Everyone keeps telling me I need to get one of those Yeti ones, but you know what? No, I want an XLR mic, not a USB mic. XLR doesn't do shit for my mixer. It might be a great mic, but it's not what I want. So I'm allowed to have opinions. Added and removed some things from the 1,000 Streams playlist. Played a couple of Thom songs, because it's good shit, man. He's talented. I should see if I can dig up any old pictures. I think the problem is if I dig up old pictures, there's old pictures of me too, which is a problem. And I had forgotten that we actually used to see each other in Boston shows with regularity. Like, I know I saw him. We saw the Replacements together. So he went to Boston Calling, and I went to Boston Calling the year the Replacements played, and we hung out for like the entire day, which is great. And I remember he was at that Frank Turner show, but different section. And it was in an arena, so it was like actually really big. And we didn't get to see each other. And also, I might have been chasing a girl that night. Sorry, I was busy. And yeah, he was at that fucking Lower Town Grace show. It was like her playing solo. It was basically the same setup as the Devouring Mothers, but she was also like reading sections from her book and her diaries and explaining stuff and telling stories. Which I actually thought of the other day because I heard a couple songs and I'm like, I remember the story behind this. And also, yeah, I had the hangover from hell at that show because the night before I had nailed a bottle of pink wine and some Xanax because I was still really depressed. That was like 2 months before I went to the hospital for the first time. So, Adam made fun of me really bad for it. He was like, "Hey, how's your motherfucker?" Like, I felt better at that point, and I had done nothing but drink water at the show. But, oof, it was bad news. Yeah. I've known Tom since he was in 8th grade, and he would tell me all kinds of things. Angst. Girl angst. Pop up with my parents. I want to get out of this town. I hate this town. Blah, blah, blah. I want to start a band, and I want to play shows, and so on and so forth. So, he still has the same goddamn guitar that he had then. It's a great guitar. I think it's a Les Paul Studio. I have to ask him. Yeah, so how's about that? People having babies. And yeah, it's absolutely true that my biological clock goes off at odd times. I'm not going to listen to it, because I'm way too fucking crazy for that. It's like bipolar fucking train wreck. Like, I don't know, is trauma generation, like, past generation? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, sure, probably. I don't know. I mean, I'm smarter than my parents, and if I had a kid, I probably wouldn't rape it, you know? Like, just general good practice if you're a human being. So, I mean, cycles of abuse have been broken. But, like, I still fear that I would, like, be violent or something. So, that's why I don't have them. Also, like, they're cute for about 5 minutes, and then, you know, I maybe don't want one for that long. Maybe I'll just cuddle my friends. And, you know, like, you can't give it back when you're done. You're stuck with it for like 30 years. Not 18 anymore. Let's face it, we're all fucking broke. You got that thing for life. Actually, my parents are finally free of me. It took them 36 years. I could finally go live that fucking fancy life that they've always wanted. Have fun with that. Yeah, but when it takes over, it's wild. And it's like, he's totally right. Like, yeah, the wife was like, "Oh yeah, I want to have kids. I want to have kids now." Like, it's like that. It's the craziest thing. And every now and then it hits me, and I'm just like, no, you need this. Like, my rational brain comes in, and it's like, oh my god, no, wait, what's happening? No, I don't need that at all. And thank you, brain, but you need to shut up, because this is fucking crazy. It's so fucking guttural. I can't even control it. I mean, I can control it, obviously, by having the fucking sanity to, like, have an IUD and have sex with girls. No, that was the funny thing. One time it went off, like, granted, as I get older, I am into dudes. Like, recently, apparently I'm only into dudes. It's really weird, and I feel awkward about that. I don't know. I'm kind of embarrassed about it. Even though I told my old boss, and he was like, that's great! Background, my boss is transgender, now, but prior, and, when we first met, big old bitch lesbian. And I mean, that hasn't really changed. Like, masculine then, masculine now, same thing kind of, except you need to know the background for the story. It's not just like I'm talking to a regular straight dude. I'm talking to, you know, my big queer old boss. And, like, we bonded on the queer stuff instantly when we met. Actually, the night of my interview, when they do interviews at the place where I work, like, they interview, but then they're like, hey, go hang around the lab and talk to people, talk to them about their jobs, and see, ask them what they like, ask them what they don't like, whatever. And of course, some of that is like lip service, because, you know, they want you to think it's a good place to work, but it's not a bad place to work. And I was kind of intimidated, like, when my boss turned me loose in parasitology, and I was like, oh god, I don't know who to talk to. This person's a lesbian, I'll talk to them. Totally safe. Gotta talk to the, like, she knew. Like, she didn't say it then, but, like, a couple days later, like, when I had the test, oh yeah, I knew. Like, and I remember I was scrubbing, like, I think it was when I was washing off the fucking, like, test tube racks, and, like, I don't know, there was this end of the night, like, clean up and put things back together for the next day that I always did at the back corner sink, which is right next to their station. And I can't remember. Like, I still didn't really talk to anybody much at all about anything. But, like, we were just kind of, like, shooting the shit. And she was like, yeah, there's this great lesbian movie. Have you seen it? And I'm like, fuck, what do I just give it off? And she's like, well, yeah. Okay, fine. I guess I just give it off. Even though I don't have man hair anymore. I never really had man hair. I had short hair. It was cute and spiky and messy. Which is great, because when you have spiky, messy hair, you don't have to do anything with it. I just didn't like that. I stopped liking the way I looked with it. I don't like the way I look regardless, but I grew my hair out because I thought that would look better on me. And also, I needed to get rid of the short hair because it made me look like my mom and my grandma, and I hated that so much. I know nobody else here knows what my mom or my grandma look like, so it doesn't matter, but I see that in myself, and it makes me want to fucking cut my own head off. I hate it. So, obviously, pink hair fucking works. So yeah, I guess I still just exude lesbian. To my boss, we know. We have that fucking gaydar. No, so I mean, most people know I'm bisexual. Alexis obviously knows I'm bisexual. And we talk about fucking boy-girl things all the time, because that's what best friends do. And so I don't know why, like, and I was talking the other, like, a while back, I'm not working for the same boss anymore. He's still in the building, still a manager of parasitology, but I don't work there anymore. I work in a different department. So now we can actually be friends. And it was like, yeah, so there's this problem. He was like, what? I'm like, I'm really into somebody. Oh, that's great! It's a dude. And he was like, okay, that's great too. And I'm like, no, it's really embarrassing. I don't know what to do. This is wrong. I don't like it. It's bad. He was like, no, I want to know all about it. And I'm like, oh, fuck. All right, fine. But I feel like that, like, all of a sudden I feel like dudes again. And also being femme, which is really weird. like, this is not that dumb, but like, you know, makeup and stuff. I think it's a function of my biology. I think my body is telling me I need to have babies, even though I don't want to have babies. But like, all this has happened since I actually started having a clock that went off occasionally. I think it's functionally my hormones and my brain are telling me that this is what I need. That's a bad idea. Alright, I'm gonna play more music because I have to go to the bathroom. And I don't know. We're gonna play whatever is up there. I think it's the Jasons or the US Ghouls. Same record as the Split record.
tell me why all my friends stop getting high. They tell me, man, you don't need that. You're going nowhere fast. All we need's a little just to get us through the day. Little more at lunchtime and I swear I'll be okay. Little more at night, it helps me sleep just right. Here's going nowhere fast. Now, it's Friday night. Send some mass text out. Can you guys find one? You're a fucking dick. You know my past. I'm sorry, man. I'm going nowhere fast. All it needs a little just to get us through the day. Little more at lunchtime and I swear I'll be okay. Little more at night, it helps me sleep just right. It's going nowhere fast. It's going nowhere fast. Growing up and going nowhere, growing up and going nowhere, growing up and going nowhere fast. Growing up and going nowhere, growing up and going nowhere, growing up and going nowhere fast. Growing up and going nowhere, growing up and going nowhere. I'm saying my farewell. What can I say? I'm okay, I'm not so. Sometimes I just don't. And I don't wanna go on and burn out. And I don't wanna lose something fine now. What can I do when your dreams when you're down? Sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes just don't know how to. But I won't pretend I'm not another brick in the wall, another fish in a pot, another cog in the system, repetition and routine. Gotta break this cycle, it's killing all my truth, that's it. Oh no, what if getting into me? Oh yeah, the beat of monotony of life and all of the anxiety. Alright, like I never wanna be dead to the world, but sometimes I feel so lost and alone. It's so hard to let go. What can I say? I'm okay, I'm not so. Sometimes I just don't. And I don't wanna go on and burn out. And I don't wanna lose something fun now. What can I do when your dreams when you're down? Sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes I just don't know. Keep your head up. Hey. It's never over. Hey. It's just beginning. Hey. To set it. To begin. Hey. It's never over. Hey. It's just beginning. Hey. To set it. To begin. When I talk TikTok, the days fly by. It's off to the pace and I don't know why. We were born to conform, to consume, just to die. Born to conform, we don't know why. Oh no, what is getting into me? Oh yeah, the beat of monotony of life and all of the anxiety. No right, no one I never wanna be dead to the world. But sometimes I feel so lost and alone. It's so hard to let go. What can I say? I'm okay, I'm not so. Sometimes I just don't. And I don't wanna go on and burn out. And I don't wanna lose something fun now. What can I do when your dreams when you're down? Sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes I just don't know. There's a place I need that all the neighbors hate 'cause it's filled with kids getting wasted. They party super late and the cops are trying to mace, but they laugh 'cause they like how it tasted. Don't come to me and ask me where I live, 'cause when it comes to me I plead the fifth. There's a place on 17 filled with drunks, addicts and fiends. The landlord should leave, they couldn't disagree. They knew they blew that house to smithereens. Don't come to me and ask me where I live, 'cause when it comes to me I plead the fifth. There's a place on 25th where everybody is sick. It's the type of place you're scared you go alone. It's vile and crusty, so fucking dusty. When other ain't disgusting, don't fucking judge me. It's the only place I feel like call my home. Don't come to me and ask me where I live, 'cause when it comes to me I need a bit. Don't come to me and ask me how I live,
hold on. You don't get to hear that song yet. So, I don't know what I just played. Like, I know I played Space Camp, Gender Reveal Party. I just love the concept of those two things together. It's just hilarious. I'll note that I did not ask Tom if he knew the gender of the baby yet, because I am not obsessed with baby genitals, okay? Does one know if it's cute? You know. Just let me know, like, 10 fingers, 10 toes, all the normal things. We're good. And before that I played The Miserables, Whatever This Sucks. I love that song. The record's great. I can't remember what I played before that. I don't know if it matters. I was hyper focused on a video of a rat carrying an egg McMuffin down the stairs in New York. And I need to repost it for the You Dirty Rat people, because they will enjoy that. They also posted something the other day about, like, rats and how quickly they reproduce. Like, a baby rat is weaned in, I think it's 13 days. And as soon as they're weaned and the pups are gone, the rat started to reproduce again. It's fucking crazy. And I almost countered that or added onto that with the fact that rats and mice and bunny rabbits and also cats are induced ovulators, which means the act of fucking makes them ovulate. And the act of saying that and thinking that makes me recoil in fear. But no, it's why there's such a cat problem. Rat, mouse, all those things. They reproduce like crazy because of that. I mean, the fact that they're like, their turnover time with going from newborn to ready to go is like really fast. And also, they basically every time they fuck, they get pregnant. So that's a thing that you now know, and I can't unlearn. So, yeah, that's rats. And that's why there's such a rat problem, obviously, but cat problem, cat overpopulation. Yeah, there's dog overpopulation too, but cats are fucking insane because every time they fuck, they get pregnant. So that's why you have your pets spayed and neutered, control the pet population. So I went downstairs, I washed some dishes, and I made myself mug cake because I am a fucking stoner and I eat fucking stoner food. I don't want... The thing that sucks is that I had, like, the stoner, like, thing over me before I ever smoked weed. It's like, no, I'm not a stoner, I'm just stupid. No, I'm not a stoner, I just like food. And I'm not too bright. Now, I act like I'm not that bright. But I'm okay. And, honestly, PTSD is maybe kind of dumb. Which is unfortunate. But, PTSD and psychiatric meds. But, yes. Now I am actually a pot smoker. So, it's true. It can finally be, the truth can be the truth. So, yeah, so there would be all the nights when I would go to fucking Price Chopper in the middle of the night and buy, like, donuts and popsicles and, like, frozen pizza. And I get to the register and they're like, no, dude, I'm just fat. I like food. So yeah, now at least I have a reason, I have an excuse. Boop, smoke weed, eat a mug cake. And I have adulterated it with Nutella because I fucking like food. Hey, you know, I worked out yesterday and I'm actually sore. I put some pictures, videos on my Ariel Instagram. And it's pathetic. None of us can work out the way we want to right now. It fucking sucks. Fucking sucks. It's driving us all crazy. And, okay, make sure my shit wasn't buzzing. No, now it's gonna work out like we want to, and we're all fucking going insane. There's a video that just got posted. This guy Chris Delgado, who's a German steer wheel guy, he had his wheel out in his apartment. It was fucking insane. Oh god, like in the hallway. That's just like, God, that's so dangerous. Like, those things are so heavy, you put a hole in a wall easy. Oh well. I was just trying to like do acro drill, like warm up drills in my house, and I kept kicking things and like whacking into my kitchen shelves. I videotaped it because I'm stupid. I was doing abs while my pizza was in the oven, and yeah, now my abs are sore. I did a good thing. My arms barely. I did a bunch of sets of different pull-ups. The eye grip, ooh, I fucking love those. But yeah, like that, and then this grip, and then like I have a climbing sling over my pull-up bar, so I could like wrap it around this and get like all different angles to get all the muscles. So T-Rex pull-ups. I can't really do those without a person to help me. Yeah, so I did those. All the variations on the pull-up that I could think of for yesterday. And abs. Girly abs, as it were, which if you go, well, I don't have the space to do the whole thing. If I did, I would show it. If we moved all the stuff out of the living room, I could do girly abs and get a video of it. Basically, the story behind it is that Elsie Smith, who is one of the crappiest twins, fucking bigwig in the American circus scene, was, I don't know what group of men she was working with. I don't know if she was like a personal trainer or like training acrobats or what, but she was like, all right, we're gonna do abs now. And for whatever class she was taking, it was all dudes. And these dudes are like, oh yeah, she's probably gonna make us do girly abs. And she's like, all right, I fucking will. And it's this drill where you're in like a hollow potty, like douche position with like your body's rounded and your back is flat on the floor and your abs are all tucked in. Oh god, I forced to do this right now. Means I did a good workout. And while you're holding that position, you tuck, and then you sit up to a pike, and then you sit up to a straddle, and then you're not touching the floor with your hands or your legs. You roll over, Superman style, and to your back, and you do it again, and you roll over again. And you like in the studio, you could like roll over multiple times. I just usually like roll once in one direction, roll back, roll the other direction, roll back, because there's not that much room. It's easier for me to count that way. But I love that fucking workout, and every time I pull that out, I think I'm weak because when I compare myself to other aerialists and acrobats, I'm kind of a fucking hoser. But I pull that out on normies, and they're like, "Oh fuck, this is hard." So I have that going for me, and yeah, I've got the protective layer of fat, but it's strong underneath. Today it's sore underneath because apparently I did enough things to make it work. I'm going to eat mug cake as performance art on the camera, and I'm gonna play Airstream Futures, and I'm gonna look for more songs that don't have 1,000 streams. I need to look through the bands that I know and see where I can find things that have not been listened to enough. But for now, I'll just play my friends. Yeah. New record. This is not their new record. That came out a month ago. Yes, exactly a month ago. God, it's been a month since I've been to a show. But yeah, like we were saying, sometimes fun does not come to you. Sometimes you need to go to fun if you want to have fun. It depends on how much fun is important to you in life. Some people can sit around all the time and be like, oh, nothing fun ever happens here. And they're okay with that. But don't be complacent about shit. If you want fun, make fun happen in your life. Also, everybody who thinks I'm a weirdo for going all kinds of crazy places for shows, dude, you never know when you're going to lose the ability to go to shows. Look at us right now. We're done for a while. So I'm super stoked at all the shows that I've been to in my life. Not even last year, in my life. Yeah, it was totally worth it going across the country to see some band. Because now I have that. Alright, I'm going to play Airstream Futures and shut up and eat my mug cake.
best and strange company. Charismatic anonymity until this glass is empty. I'm not rich, but I like your name. Richie serves 1,000 people every day. I'd find another just to stay with you. I thought that you'd be here for breakfast. When I saw you looking at me in the club last night, like the autumn moon shines lightly through my window, I remember what we taught to stigmatize. People who sing and no self open. Drawn at the seams and weak on the inside. So when we're out, feeling restless, like if the nights were the last night, we could stay alive. Let's face it. We're free from the past to stifle sincerity. We're dream, you and me. Let's start again. Maybe we can leave the past in the bottom of our glass, and you could come talk to me. Yeah, you could come talk to me. Yeah, you could come talk to me. I know that we're made to feel bombarded. But one another city of syncrasies. I know it's up to us to destroy these unfortunate patterns. The things society did to you and me. I remember when we redefined forgiveness, like the broken roads and deeper accountability. I know it's easier, I guess, to leave me hanging while I decompress and learn the 7 steps to grave. Let's face it. We're free from the past to stifle sincerity. Between you and me. Let's start again. Maybe we can leave the past in the bottom of a glass, and you could come talk to me. Yeah, you could come talk to me. Yeah, you could come talk to me.
Come be opaque with me. You're a diamond, you're a safe danger in relief. Here, locked in the crawl space, in the core of the moment, you shine so fucking boring, he said. I can't show up late, drunk and high every morning. Well, I don't know where I'll be tomorrow, but I will figure it out. Maybe it's just me and not everyone else. I spent my rent on a bag of blow and a bottle of whiskey. My phone lit off. We don't even matter because no one's gonna miss me. Well, I don't know where I'll be tomorrow, but I will figure it out. Maybe it's just me and not everyone else. Got that attitude, don't worry, dude, it's my little curse. Just sit home and kiss on and say things could be worse. Everyone around me seems to know what is best, so I dress to impress for the thing I detest. I don't know how you punch the clock every single day. What's the worst that'll happen if your bills don't get paid? Wouldn't you rather catch a dosey buzz and hang out late like the rest of us, like the rest of us? We'll be tomorrow. We'll be tomorrow. We'll be tomorrow.
So here's a weird thing. By the way, that was Who Did We Rat, who I was supposed to see 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think so. And who I need to send that rap video to. I am now full of chocolate. I feel better. Yeah, I keep playing with my fingernails. I need to file them, paint them, be girly. How did I play before that? I don't remember. Does it matter? Nobody's listening. It's up in the corner of the screen. Have fun with it. So here's an interesting story, and Tom didn't write this, although I'm kind of bummed he didn't, because this is totally like fucking up his alley. He posted it though. It's from Wired, and it is the Postal Service's surprising role in surviving doomsday. The little-known postal plan, which dates back to the Clinton era, charges mail carriers with delivering critical supplies like vaccines as a last resort. So they're like almost the military, which is why I apparently never got that job at the post office. No, the post office in Brattleboro was hiring when I was still there, and I kind of did like the pre-application, and I failed the test. So I was like, it's basically, I mean, it was mostly horse shit, but it was just like basically you have to adhere to fucking their book, like do everything by the book. Everything has a way to do it. Everything has an order to do it. Don't go outside. Don't deviate from that whatsoever without the appropriate documentation or orders. It's very American. And I think I was too much of a free thinker. That's fine, because I mean, I don't know if they drug test. I think they drug test to get the job, and like that's it. I don't know. Like I don't know. I couldn't. It's just like looking back, it's like it seems like a thing that would be really easy that I'd be able to do, but like in hindsight, I'm looking at the way they operate and what they do, and I'm just like, nah. It would have been a good government job though, which would have been hella cool. Like people are complaining about like who do like courier delivery work about like taking care of themselves and stuff, but dude, fucking post office employees are fucking taken care of. So it's a tough job. Anyways, so So I guess Congress was talking about how, like, since there's less mail, the post office might go bankrupt in a matter of weeks. And somebody else was like, actually, they have a really important job, and that's delivering prescription drugs. So, like, mailing things that get mailed to pharmacies and expressed and overnighted and stuff like that. So they are going to have work. And apparently they have a plan. They have a unique but largely unknown role in the nation's doomsday planning. And there's all this stuff they had for them that, like, nobody talked about, apparently. It's really interesting. So apparently during the Cold War, the Postal Service would have helped register the nation's dead following a nuclear apocalypse. They had special postcards known as safety notification cards, aka POD Form 810, asked individuals who survived to list, hypothetically, survived nuclear war, to list where they had survived, who they had survived with, and where they are now located. And they were sent back posted free. That's wild. And after the Cold War, they, I guess during the Cold War, they also, were going to use the mail trucks as emergency casualty carriers. And there are also, like, apparently there were also plans to burn the nation's stamp stockpiles in case we get invaded by Russians. And also there were plans for post-apocalyptic refugee camps, which another quirk of the federal government plans were meant to be run by the National Park Service, located in picturesque national parks like Yosemite that presumably would not have been targeted by Soviet missiles. Dude, can we get nuked so I can go live in Badlands or, like, Saguaro National Park? Because that would be dope. Not the getting nuked, just the moving to Arizona. I don't know if I want to live in South Dakota permanently, but Badlands is fucking gorgeous. I have never actually been to Yellowstone. Actually, that's a lie. I've been inside the gate, we turned around and drove out because there was too much snow and we couldn't get in. On my fucking birthday, which is the last weekend in May. Fuck, Wyoming. Pro tip for the rest of you, it snows there a lot. Late. 4-wheel drive, please. Let's see. Apparently, there's an executive order that Obama put through that uses for the Postal Service. The Postal Service was to be the first line responders to a widespread biological terror incident. Like, if there's an anthrax attack, the post office shows up at your door with Cipro. And those plans could be potentially dusted off to help respond to a disease epidemic or pandemic. Wow, it's a 58-page memorandum between the Postal Service and the Department of Health and Human Services. The task for the USPS is to deploy USPS carrier volunteers to deliver antibiotics to residents at the outset of a catastrophic incident, using the inherent efficiency of the USPS infrastructure. Wow. And it falls under the broad umbrella of contingency planning known as continuity of government. Whoa. That's wild. Like, there's so many of those things that exist, like, from the Cold War era, and, like, we're expecting, like, total and utter destruction and total fall apart of, like, any control or government or anything like that. There were plans like that for, like, you know, if this happens, these are the people in charge and this is how we're gonna do it. That's wild. I can't believe they had that for the post office. And they fucking ran drills. Oh my god. Including signing up mail carrier volunteers and subjecting them to medical screening and the fitting of personal protective equipment. No shit. They would have had, like, gas masks and shit. As the Department of Homeland Security identified in its planning, the Postal Service is, after all, the only government agency with the built-in staff and logistical capacity to knock on every residential door in a given community in a single day. A task that, by definition, its 600,000 employees perform in most cities and towns in the country 6 days a week. That's wild! Dude, so if there's like medication or something, or a vaccine that gets passed out, they're going to give it to us. And before they were sent out door to door, they would be provided with prophylaxis and barrier protection for themselves as well as their families. That's fucking cool. Glad I don't work for the post office. As it is, I'm still an essential employee. Fuck. Even working at the Cushy Lab doesn't make me exempt from anything. But, like, at least I get to see people. Which sounds a little, like, I don't know. I see the 5 people I work with. We hang out. Wow, this is fascinating. I need to find new bands for my playlist. Wow, this is so fucking brilliant. That's neat. Alright, I'm gonna play more music.
When we wore the haircuts, we were the ones. Loose lips in twilight zones, Patti Smith and the Ramones, tire pumps and rubber mallets, slinging solar cream and shallots, Dairy Queen and BBC. Blame the pigs for gravity. Plastic code, plastic dial, walk another half a mile, we'll right. When we were the haircuts, we were the ones. When we were the haircuts, we were the ones. Cracked as a glass in the old man's pitcher. Got a hot summer winter, can't picture. When we were the haircuts, we were well, who's better than now? I need to give a yip, give a yap, for another one's a pop, we are right. Apple pops and sugar bears, breakfast on the bedroom stairs. It's diabetic luxury. Have the band play Channel 3. Military, main and bases, talking about my generation. Turn up to the news, get the salsa with the juice, be alright. When we were the haircuts, we were the ones. When we were the haircuts, we were the ones. Cracked as a glass in the old man's pitcher. Got a hot summer winter, can't picture. When we were the haircuts, we were well, who's where, what now? Give a yip, give a yap, for another one's a pop, be alright. There's no more talk of revolutions. What's new? Lawrence put snowman in my brain. Some people that are trillion volts. Jack with the power of the shooting. Showed my brain building by the fire of units. Down in the trenches where we made our millions.
Insert guitar solo here.
When we were the haircuts, we were the ones. When we were the haircuts, we were the ones. Cracked as a glass in the old man's pitcher. Got a hot summer winter, can't picture. When we were the haircuts, we were well, who's where, what now? I would give a yip, give a yap, for another one's a pop, we alright. Give a yip, give a yap, for another one's a pop, we alright. Give a yip, give a yap, for another one's a pop, we alright. All my friends are dead and gone, so made up or just moved on, and I'm just so alone forever. Self-confessed, self-masochist, a bladder wretched, ridiculous, the hero of the bar. I'm still in the smoke, swirling in the sun. Let baby, let's as close as we'll come, 'cause we can't go home again. Yeah, no, we've never been apart. We can't go You want me here? No, I won't run you. Make me feel like life's not so hopeless. Rockets flame on the sky. First thing as we start to die on. Swirls in the moonlight. And baby, everything's alright. We just can't go home again. La la, dreams never dead or gone. We can't go home again. La la, dreams never dead or gone. Can't go home again. No faith and I ain't got no money. It's all dead and gone. Can't go home again. No hope and I ain't got nobody. It's all dead and gone.
On my way to the bathroom floor, I don't wanna feel like this. Soft tile feeling cold, sickness taking hold. Here's to January, it's such a curse. Cheers to February, what it was. Dreaming of Barrow summer sun, pack your bag and soar over. Lost cowboys in the bay. From this war, it's just too far away. Here's to January, it's just a curse. Cheers to February, for what it's another round to get me down. Another round to get me down. Another round to bring me down. Spinning now.
Yeah, Tommy. Hey, this is Jason B from the fucking Jasons, man. Listen, I need you to call me back as soon as you get this message, because I think there may be some sort of a misunderstanding between us. Yeah, you know, remember the other day when we had that discussion, the fuck your mom, fuck your dad, fuck your band, fuck everyone you've ever met discussion? You know, that same discussion where I told you we weren't going to do no fucking split record with the U.S. Bulls and the Jasons. Yeah, you know, I thought we got each other. I thought we came to some sort of understanding. But I could have swore that I saw your pixelated little ass creeping in the background at the show the other night with a cassette recorder. Now, Tommy, I need you to know if that was you with some sort of intention of bootlegging some live Jason song and putting it on your little split, you got another fucking thing coming, man. I fucking dare you to put that fucking track on your record. You think you're gonna get fucking punched in the face when you take a picture of Glenn Danzig or fucking throw some ice on Ben Weasel? Motherfucker, we will go triple dog Danzig, motherfucking Ben Weasel punch you in the fucking face in the tip on your asses if you put this fucking record out, Tommy. Without our consent, we'll fucking seal your asses, we'll kill your asses, we'll fucking kill your asses and seal your asses 1 to 2. Listen, Tommy, the split's not happening. We can give it up. Give Savage Remains a call. Give some other band a call. We're not fucking doing it. Call me back. Don't call me back. I don't give a fuck. Don't fucking put this split out. Be fucking in.
was the best shit ever, dude. He referenced the Ben Weasel ice incident. Bravo, you schools and the Jason split there. That is a skit called Triple Dog Danzig. That's fucking beautiful. Oh my god, I can't wait to clip that. I had never heard that before. That's fantastic. By the way, I would like to point out, Screw Tube will have a new record out, and Suicide Machines record tracked higher than it on iTunes. So, way to go, Suicide Machines. Fuck Ben Weasel. Who the fuck listens to him anymore? Like, nobody fucking likes him. Like, maybe some fucking kids who, like, just got into punk rock and learned that, like, Mike Dirnt played on a Screeching Weasel record, so maybe we'll listen to these guys. I've heard more shit about what the dumb shit that he's done. Ooh, trust me, Chicago scene is juicy. Juicy gossip! I didn't even hear all of it. I want to hear more, so I can be fucking angry. And fucking punch that dude in his fucking taint someday. Yeah, you heard me. Ben Weasel, I will punch you in the taint. Come at me. He called me a cunt once, and I consider that one of my claims to fame. I should put that as my fucking Twitter profile. Ben Weasel called me a cunt once. Oh, Lord. Anyways. That's official. Come at me, Ben. I will punch you in your taint. True story. Then you can sue me for fucking, like, royalties for the story. Yeah, I don't know. I was reading shit, and then I got distracted. I'm reading Tom's fucking Twitter, because I haven't been on it in a while. It's a big vehicle for, like, his marketing and stuff. About fucking conservatives and shit. I got pumped up for this brutal deathcore song about coronavirus. Open up this pit, just stay like 6 feet away from each other. I can't believe him and his wife are having a baby. Oh my god. In like 3 months? That's so fucking cool. I read all the things I'm reading is like fucking. Oh, so he posted the story about Harvey Weinstein testing positive for coronavirus, and his comment is, "I actually fell over laughing at this, and no, I'm not sorry." There's all these great memes. I love it. I'm gonna play more music. I need to find more bands that don't have a lot of streams. Who do I play? I want to see if War on Man Babies is on here. We're gonna find out. Enter. That means go, bitches. See all. Ew, womb sounds. No, I don't want to play womb sounds for my baby. I want to know if War on Man Babies is on here. Ew, why? Why are those things? Dear Tom, are you going to play womb sounds for baby sleep? About. I don't know where the concerts are, to be honest. This artist has no concerts. Hold on, I gotta find this. Womb sounds. I don't want to sound like my womb. My womb is way too close to my intestines, so let me tell you, that shit rumbles. Alright, let's see what this sounds like. I'm gonna play it for you, and we're all gonna have an existential crisis over how weird this is. What is this? Womb sound with slow heartbeat and slow pulse. No. Alright, so what I want to know is who mic'd the womb. Like, how did they mic it? Like, gross and I don't like it. But the whole genre. How much does your baby need to just address the effects of lack of sleep? It's also known that baby sleep baby needs. I don't really sleep a lot. I feel like some deathcore band needs to call themselves Womb Sound or like Womb Sound for Sleep and put it on Spotify. Oh shit! All right, I need to obviously play actual music and not be a shithead. But I need to send this to Tom because it's fucking funny. All right, let's go back to where we were. I completely lost where I was, and now we're gonna listen to.
Fucking shut up. They're talking about you. They're telling all their friends. All your secrets are out. If I'm unhappy, tell me that I wanna. Tell me that I shoulda. Tell me that I woulda. Tell me that I coulda. Make your mistakes. Silence will follow you.
in little past. I kissed the bottle. I should have been kissing you. You wake up to an empty night. We kiss for two. We kiss for two. I kissed the bottle. I should have been kissing you. You wake up to an empty night.
can read all that says horoscopes. Let's burn down the bridge to suffering. Let's make it clear they know the facts. Our hearts are ancient artifacts, and we all need some truth, some honesty. Meet me on the first car on the express cross down to Queens, 'cause the miles here are so much longer than they seem. My secrets are the skeptic
Alright. I think I'm done. Like, nobody's watching. The cool part's over. I just feel like sitting here on the internet. So I have to make a playlist for tomorrow's show, too. So I have shit to do. So yeah, that's it. I will crop the Tom parts of tonight's show appropriately, and that will be fun. And me trying to mic my vagina. It'll be great. Great.